Want to hear a construction joke? I'm working on it. Okay, I thought it was funny. Well, I've been notoriously skeptical of new construction projects, and I can change my tune on this because there's a couple of reasons I think it's very, very compelling right now to get into new construction, particularly in a couple specific sectors. So we're going to jump into it and talk about, we have 200 million in multifamily and mostly existing property and why we're getting into some new construction. I'm going to give my two best assets or subclasses, I think you're really going to like them, of what we're getting into now and why I think they're great investments. If you stick around to the end, got a great quote for you. Let's jump in and do this. All right, so welcome. If you're new around here, my name is Bronson Hill, the CEO of Bronson Equity. We have over 200 million in multifamily assets, things like ATMs, car washes, oil and gas. We're doing all sorts of alternative assets, senior housing, things like that. So let's jump in here. This is not investment advice. These are just my opinions. So let's talk about existing deals, pros and cons. So again, the 200 million of assets we have in multifamily, it's mostly existing property, right? It's existing locations. So there's some pros of this, right? A pros is that you have an existing business, right? You have something that already is existing. You can kind of take it, you can try to make it better. Typically you get faster returns. So usually returns will show up much faster than if you had something you have to build that can take sometimes 1, 2, 3 years before you start seeing really any income from that. And it can even take longer in some situations. Another thing is there's reduced risk. One of the reasons there's reduced risk is because you have that existing business, you have a history, a track record, you've got tenants, you've got things already set up. It's already typically cash flowing or at least neutral from day one, usually. Now, if you get a distressed property, obviously it's a little different. So those are all the pros. Some cons are you have limited appreciation. When you compare it with new construction, a lot of times returns, it's not uncommon, depending on what type of deal you're looking at, 10-ish% up to 17, 18% is pretty common. Some maybe a little higher, but again, numbers are just numbers. So you can kind of make them say what you want them to say sometimes. So we like being very conservative on a lot of deals, versus new construction can be typically starts at 20+% and then goes up from there. There's more upfront maintenance, and so you'll have to do more work. So it requires a lot of hands-on stuff, not as much as new building, but it does require a lot to go turn units. It can take sometimes years to go in and turn 80, 90, 100% of these units that are older, kind of classic units. So that's existing inventory or existing property. What about new construction? What are the benefits there? Well, some of the pros of new construction are higher appreciation. I mean, typically, like I mentioned, 20 to 30% is pretty common. Now, that's kind of generally what you look for when it comes to a project. If you're going to do a new development and you're going to get 10%, you're like, well, why wouldn't I just buy this existing place that's already cash flowing and already producing and already is, even higher than that, right? So you got to have, it is considered a little more high risk, which we'll get into here in a minute, but it's the reason it's not existing. So you expect to have more return based on that. Second thing is that there are tax benefits, right? There's also tax benefits on existing property. It's changed a little bit. There are some great tax benefits, especially in certain areas for building certain types of projects in certain areas. There's certain credits available, things like that. Something to consider when you're looking at a new construction project. And then another thing is there's a shortage of units. Now I'm going to get into specifics of the couple assets that I like. I'm not going to give it away because then you won't watch till the end of the video. And it's really important to hear, I think, the couple things that we're doing that I'm really, really excited about. So I can jump into that in a minute. So shortage of units, we particularly see it in things like multifamily. This is one example. The study that says we're 4 to 7 million apartment units short of what we need, or housing units short in the US. So there's incredible demand. So if you build something that's in an area of demand, it's going to be really, gobbled up as soon as it comes to market. At least that's the hope. And again, we just see, even though some multifamily prices have come down a little bit because of interest rates being higher, there's still an incredible demand. Rents really haven't come down. We're still seeing in almost every market just this incredible demand for multifamily. Some of the cons of construction, and these are important, is that there is an extended timeline, right? So if you're building, where I live in Los Angeles area, it takes 2-3 years sometimes before you can break ground and build or maybe finish a project, which is a long time. That's why we don't build in California. We wouldn't consider that, right? Because not that we wouldn't consider it, it's just a much longer time horizon, right? But there's other areas which within 18 months, typically from purchasing, you can have everything all done, permits, and have a certificate of occupancy, which just means, whoever the tenant is, they can move in. It's all set to go. So that's kind of something that's unique, is having, you will have an extended timeline versus existing properties. Second thing really is that there is a higher risk profile, right? Because with an apartment, like one behind me here, up on the wall, you'll see it's an existing location. So there's already a business that's already established. When you're doing a new construction, it can be great. It can be amazing. There's a lot of, positives and challenges there, but one of the challenges obviously is that there's a higher risk that you don't know. How long will it take to build? Will the building get done in time? And then what will the market look like when it's actually built? And so that kind of goes into this next point, is market unknowns. You don't know what it will look like when this property is actually built. It's a little bit unknown what the tenant will be paying, what interest rates will be, what the buyers will be doing. If you had a property you built at, in the peak when they were building a lot of stuff in 2006, well, 2008, 2009 could have been a little tougher time to sell that, right? Because nobody really was ready to buy. And so that's a concern. So some deals I think that are good deals are ones that have that built in, where it's like, hey, we don't have to sell it here. We could sell it right when we're done. We could get it leased up. We sell it. We could hold it for another couple of years. We've got enough debt in place to be able to do that. And that's a question that every investor should be looking at. How long is the debt? Is it fixed? Is it variable? When is it reset? Just being aware of that kind of process. So we kind of paired these two. I really like both. I think right now there's some excitement for new construction because we're just seeing such shortages in certain areas. And it's really a way you can really guarantee that, hey, if you have a short supply in certain areas, to really go after them. So these are the two, this is what I was kind of leading up to. These are the two areas that I'm really excited about as far as new construction, right? The first one is senior housing. Senior housing, if you look at the silver tsunami, all these boomers are getting older. There's a lot of aging population. If you see a chart, it's just amazing over the next 10 to 20 years, even the next 5 years, how many people are aging and are into things like independent living, assisted living. I spent 10 years in medical device sales working with a lot of older people, sometimes in nursing home settings, and just that's a huge, huge, huge demand. So if you're building something in that area, you're gonna see a huge growth over the next 10, 20 years. It's gonna be awesome. Second one really is anything related with medical office building, urgent care building, hospitals, anything related to medical. The medical spending is expected to go up as the population ages, and there's more and more hospital type office setting space going to be needed, particularly in certain markets. So obviously do a feasibility report or make sure that your operator you're working with has done a feasibility report both for senior housing as well as the medical housing, or excuse me, the medical buildings. But I think it's a great, great opportunity that I'm super excited about. So I wanted to share this with you. This quote, this comes from Frank Lloyd Wright, who is a famous architect. He said, "You can use an eraser on the drafting table or a sledgehammer on the construction site." So the idea of planning, right, it goes with the carpenter's adage of measure twice and cut once, right? So, whatever you do, try to pick your course, do it well. Hopefully you'll consider looking at new construction, just because I think it's a great opportunity, and it was kind of tied in with construction, so I shared that. I want to share this video with you. This is Warren Buffett, be fearful when others are greedy, and kind of how do you do that? How do you manage your own temperament when you're going through a time of things are really booming or things are really crashing? It's really important that you work on your mindset. Check out that video up here. And then join our investor club. We've got an awesome investor club. We're talking about things like multifamily, oil and gas, ATMs, car washes. Now we're looking at these expanded other types of construction deals. We have other types of new things, debt funds and things that are coming up as well. So if you're not on our investment club, you're not hearing about these deals, go to bronsonequity.com, click the join button. We'll start a relationship with you. Thank you for taking the time to educate yourself. Seriously, it's an honor and a privilege to share these videos with you, to get feedback from you, and would love to connect with you offline. So we'll look forward to seeing you in the next video.